Unsurprisingly, a lot of people would instantly assume the answer is failure. They think the biggest mistake is choosing the wrong career, marrying the wrong person, missing an opportunity, making a bad investment, or taking the wrong path. Those things can absolutely change a life, but they usually aren't the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake most people make is much more subtle. It happens so slowly that they barely notice it. They spend years assuming they have more time than they really do. They put things off because they believe there will always be another chance later, another year, another opportunity, another moment when conditions are better, another version of themselves that is more motivated, more confident, and more prepared. The problem is that life keeps moving while those assumptions are being made. Most people don't wake up one morning and decide to waste 10 years. Nobody plans that. What happens instead is much smaller. They delay something important for a week, then another week, then a month, then a year. When they become someday, and someday becomes a permanent place where goals go to die. They keep telling themselves they will start eventually. The strange thing is that eventually never feels different when it arrives. Tomorrow feels exactly like today. Next year feels surprisingly similar to this year. The person waiting for motivation discovers that motivation never became as reliable as they hoped. The person waiting for confidence discovers that confidence never arrived first. The person waiting for the perfect moment discovers that perfection never shows up. The scary part is that life can look completely normal while this is happening. You can go to work, pay your bills, see friends, watch shows, follow routines. From the outside, everything appears fine. Yet underneath it all, there can be a growing gap between the life you're living and the life you keep imagining. Every year, that gap gets a little larger. Every year, the excuses become a little easier to repeat. Eventually, people stop talking about certain dreams altogether. Not because they achieved them, but because they gave up on them. The biggest mistake isn't necessarily failing. Failure at least means you tried. Failure teaches something. Failure gives feedback. Failure moves the story forward. The bigger mistake is spending years protecting yourself from failure so successfully that you never really attempt the things that matter to you. A lot of regret comes from this. People imagine regret is about mistakes they made. Often it's about actions they never took, conversations they never had, risks they never accepted, opportunities they never took, versions of themselves they never gave a chance to exist. The uncomfortable truth is that nobody knows exactly how much time they have. People understand this logically, but they rarely live as though it's true. They plan their lives around the assumption of unlimited tomorrows. They treat years like they are small units of time. Then one day they look back and realize an entire decade disappeared faster than they thought possible. Suddenly, the future they were waiting for has become the present and they still haven't done shit. That's why the biggest mistake people make with their lives is assuming they can always start later. Later feels safe. Later feels responsible. Later feels available. But later has a bad habit of disappearing. The people who build meaningful lives are rarely the people who had perfect timing. They're usually the people who decided that imperfect action today was better than endless planning for tomorrow.